Hey everyone, it's John Wasserman. I put together a little film session on Duke freshman point guard Cayden Boozer, who I think is somewhat polarizing in terms of how scouts view his immediate impact versus his long term potential. I think everyone expects he's going to come into Duke uh, and make an impact, whether he's starting or not. I know Caleb Foster is expected to have a breakout season this year, and we'll see what Cayden Boozer's role is going to be. But I think there's somewhat of a divide in terms of where scouts see his long-term potential. I think I'm a little bit more optimistic than most. So I wanted to put together a little, some tape and clip apart some of his game that show what I think translates, why I think scouts may be hesitant to project a high quality NBA player, and why I think maybe some of the concerns are overblown. By the way, Cayden Boozer, I know we talk about his brother Cameron most of the time when thinking about the top of the 2026 NBA draft board, but Cayden has been right there with him along the way at Columbus, with the Knight Riders, with USA in FIBA. And I just think his game does translate to the highest level. And I want to go through exactly why I believe that, and again, why I think maybe some of the concerns are overblown. And we'll point out those concerns. But let's start off with really what his identity is built around. And that's kind of IQ, playmaking, decision making. And I love this pass right here. Let's start it off with his left hand delivery, and of course, the left hand, the skill shows there with that one hand pass. But I think a lot of young point guards might want to throw this one over the top and be safe. But he's got a big defender there, and he makes, I think, a very calculated decision to throw it low and use his left hand. And we're going to see that's going to become a theme throughout this video, using his offhand. All right, then we see here Cayden in transition. I think this is a little bit of the quick processing I like. I think this is, he expects to go into a floater, or maybe in his mind, this is a floater opportunity, but last second, it's possible he changes it when he sees his brother and in position for an easy catch and finish opportunity. Here we see the quick processing here. One of those little touch passes right to the middle to Caleb Gaskins, who's pretty money in that mid range area. He knows to find the player in the middle of that zone. And again, there's not much thought there. It's quick 1-2, in and out of his fingers. Here we see another one of those lefty passes, one-handed wraparound. The only way to really get it there is to make it with that offhand, that lefty delivery, and of course he finds his brother in a high percentage opportunity. Here, this looks like a simple play, but again, this to me really shows his IQ and how he's able to see things ahead of time. A lot of times this could be a catch and shoot from the corner, but Cayden, before I think he even catches it, he knows he's going to penetrate and break down the defense. He sees that shooter in the opposite corner, and he knows if he makes a quick move there, he can draw and collapse the defense and get his corner shooter an open look. Here's another one of those lefty deliveries. Like, the reason you make this one-handed pass like that is to get the shooter the ball before the defense can set. That's just a quick, skilled pass. Again, that's processing. That's the skill level of the delivery. And again, with his offhand, and he does it to get his shooter an open look before the defense could recognize. Again, here, I think this is more quick processing that you just can't teach. Another one of those things that I think translates and what separates Boozer. Right when he catches the ball here, I think he knows that he's got a guy in the dunker spot, right over here. And if he makes a quick move, he will collapse that defense and get his guy an easy catch and finish from the dunker spot. Here, look at another lefty pass to his brother. Again, not only is this the skill with the left hand, but this is knowing where his brother is going to roll, how the defense is going to react, and where he needs to put the ball. Of course, it's right in the money, as always, and gives his brother a good angle. Another lefty pass on the break. Again, this is just showing more of his ability to use both hands. Um, and here we see, again, this might be my favorite play. And again, it looks like so simple. But this is, I think, right here is the last time he'll even look at that corner shooter. Like, he knows he's there. He sees the help defense playing way too far off. And so he knows his goal here is really to get 2 feet in the paint, attack, bring that corner defender even closer to the rim. And again, he doesn't look his way for the rest of the play. Quick pass without looking, and again, open shot for his guy. Um, Here is an example of, I think, why scouts might be a little bit hesitant to project NBA upside, and it has to do with the lack of explosion. So you see, here's a drive, and he decides to go off 2 feet. And we'll see again, that's a common theme here with Cayden, is that he goes off 2 feet. He really lacks explosion off one. So going off 2 feet gives you a little bit more balance, allows you to use your strength a little more to push guys back. But here, it gives the defender more time to get back and make a play, right? Imagine if you're going for a layup and you have to literally stop off 2 feet. That gives the defender more time, and that's what he does here because he doesn't have that 1 foot explosiveness, and he gets denied at the rim. Here again, we got Cayden on the semi-break here, and again, he gathers off 2 feet, and it really looks like he's almost got like weights tied to his ankles there. Does not get very high off the ground, and plays a little bit too far below the rim. He's not going to draw a foul or get himself an easy bucket when he goes off those 2 feet in traffic. All right, here we got Cayden. Again, another 2 foot gather. It's just, again, it's hard to explode above the rim if that's the way he's going to play. Here he goes off the wrong foot purposely, one of those wrong foot finishes. I think this is trying to be clever, again, to compensate for the fact that he doesn't have that burst off the left foot, so he goes off the right one to catch his guy off guard. It's just too difficult of a finish that didn't need to be so difficult if he had that burst, an explosion off his left foot. Here again, he tries to do it the right way, but again, look how limited explosion he gets. He barely gets off the ground, and this should be a play where I think he gets a little bit higher above the cup for a higher percentage opportunity. But we can kind of pause it here. Like, he really just does not get too high above the rim and makes it for an easy defensive contest and a low percentage layup opportunity for Cayden. Here again, I think this would be like a reverse opportunity. You go off your left foot here, get yourself a little explosion to get to the other side of the rim. But again, Cayden decides he's got to stop and go off 2 feet here. And again, that gives the defender more time to get to that airspace. And it's just a tougher finish for him below the rim, going off 2 feet as opposed to going off one and making that reverse play. So I think these are a couple of reasons why scouts are a little bit hesitant to project a high upside NBA guard long term. I think maybe in the short term it won't be such an issue, but projecting to the higher levels. All right, now here's a handful of clips I want to point out of his 2 point scoring and how he compensates. And this first example is how he uses his strength really well. And again, he won't be able to rely on this long term all the time when he gets to the NBA, but it's certainly going to be a helpful, I think, trait for him. His frame, his lower body, he's got really strong legs. And so you see here, he kind of pushes his guy back, gets in position to create an angle for himself. Here, I love the footwork. This is one of my favorite plays I've seen from him. I mean, that's pretty clever. That's pretty, the fundamentals there, the inside-out dribble to find that space and get to his spot in the mid-range where he's very good. And we're going to see that over the next couple clips, how comfortable he is. Here's more examples of his footwork to get himself a balanced look in the mid-range where he really has soft touch. By the way, he's got one of the best floaters percentage-wise in the country. And I always think that floater touch is going to translate and be really important, particularly for a guard who does not explode above the rim. He needs that touch, and he certainly got it, both with the floater and the short-range jumper. And I know there's a lot of people who say we need threes and layups and, kind of get rid of that stuff in between that's contested shots. That's a little bit lower percentage, the long twos, the short twos, but not if you're really good at it. And I think Cayden Boozer has that great touch in the mid-range. And again, he's got the footwork for shot creation to get himself good looks and good enough size where he can kind of elevate over his guy. Everything with him is balanced. Here we see him, again, I love this. This is body control. This is slowing down. This is deceleration, which has become a common, popular talking point with guards. I think that Luka almost started it. Of course, Harden is known for it. But slowing down is really another key for creating separation. And there he shows the recognition to let his guy fly by, stop for 1 second, and make a play, make a finish with balance right there. So again, that's stuff that you can't teach, in my opinion. What do we got here? So here's Cayden. I mean, this is just, again, like the game moves slowly for him, right? Some point guards we see sped up. Here is he does this a lot. catch. He's not rushed there. He takes his time. He knows his guy's going to fly by, and he stops in to a pull-up three. And by the way, Cayden is a much improved three-point shooter. Regardless of what the percentages say in high school, I believe he's going to be a very competent shooter down the road, both off the catch and off the dribble. Here's that footwork again. Like, look how much ground he covers. He plants his feet in the right spots. He times his spin right. He uses his body correctly, and he gets himself a high percentage look. He does that without any explosion at all. Here's just a basic lefty drive. Again, just another example of him being comfortable going hard left. There's that rise and fire in the mid range. Like when we talk about shot creation, I think people get too carried away with having your fancy one-on-one Kyrie Harden type moves. I think you can create your own shot without that stuff. Of course, it's beneficial to have it, but Cayden just using his size and his mid-range shot and the ability to just rise up over his man, I think that's shot creation enough. Here you go, same thing. Like just get to his spot and use his release point and knowing who's guarding him. Here's another inside-out dribble. Like I love this move, right? He creates just enough space with that little hesitation, that little stutter right in the middle, that inside-out dribble to get to his spot where he's got really soft touch in the mid-range. Here's just an impressive adjustment. Again, not explosive, but uses his body correctly. And to me, those are just those things that are very difficult to teach, like those counters, those adjustments that you don't really practice. Here, again, is another just not rushed. Steps right into that pull-up jumper, a little escape dribble. Knows that his defender is coming fast. He's not going to be able to slow down. Gives him a little pump fake. And so, those are just a couple examples of why I think that Cayden is going to be able to overcome some of the challenges he'll face by not having explosion, not having super quickness at the point of attack. I always say passing translates, so I think that's going to be his bread and butter, what he's going to bank on, what NBA teams can bank on when they think about drafting him this year. And though there are some concerns again about creating his own shot, about finishing in the half court, I think he's got enough skill, enough craft, enough IQ to again compensate and overcome for some of those limitations. And so I compare him right now to Andrew Nembhard. I think that's I don't even want to say a floor comparison because I don't even know where Andrew Nembhard's game could go. It could jump from here again. And I know Nembhard's not an all-star caliber player, but I think he's definitely one of those guys that no matter what his role is, he's going to provide a positive impact, whether it's as a bench guy, whether it's as a starter who's kind of maybe a fourth option in the offense. But to me, I think Cayden Boozer is one of the most underrated, undervalued prospects entering the 2026 draft cycle. I currently have him as a late lottery pick. We'll see again what his role is. He might be coming off the bench this year. He might not be putting up a ton of points as a freshman, again, on another loaded Duke team. But I think long-term his game does project favorably to the NBA regardless of what his role is going to be.